Welcome back to Coaching Conversations. I'm Maria Savio.
And I'm Lourdes Laper.
So today we're diving into our soon-to-be released book, The Daily Path to Resilience, Small Steps to an Unshakable You. It's a modern interpretation of ancient Stoic wisdom and principles. It's one quote, one interpretation, one takeaway that you can actually use today as a daily practice. And the more you return to it, the more it returns you to your center.
So let's begin with today's quote. Stop chasing approval. Understand where people's judgments come from, and you'll free yourself from needing their praise. That's not just some feel-good platitude. That's more pure Stoic wisdom. This is at the heart of what steals our peace. We're talking about building your inner fortress and making your self-worth unshakable no matter what external storms hit.
Yeah, the core idea is this. Much of our frustration comes from trying to control things that we really can't. And other people's opinions, their judgments, their praise, their criticism, these are external factors that are not within our control. And if your peace depends on those external opinions, events, or circumstances, you're always going to be at the mercy of someone else.
And the moment you realize that most people's judgments come from their own fears, their own biases, their own blind spots, it loses its sting. It's like discovering the wizard behind the curtain, right? You stop judging them for their flawed perspective, and you stop needing their praise to feel okay.
Yeah, and it's not just theory. You see it everywhere. From, an athlete who plays for the love of the game, even though maybe he's got a lot of hecklers and haters, to the artist who creates for their truth of expression and their passion, not for the critics. And for the activist who stands firm on their message despite any pushback, or even the entrepreneur who trusts their vision over early market doubts or failures. They're remaining true to themselves despite any negative feedback.
And that's hard to do. Years ago, when I was the PTA president, I was faced with having to make a really unpopular decision. And it was due to a community crisis. And I felt that, the best thing to do was to face it, right? And I got a lot of negative feedback. People openly disagreed with me, disparaged me. It was gossiping, talking behind my back, all of it. And, I think the perception among some people was that I was, doing it out of some self-interest instead of the interest of the community, the school community, right? And it was a really challenging time, one that I'm glad is long over. But at the time, it felt like a really painful betrayal, and I can remember like my gut reaction was to want to defend myself, wanting people, wanting to get my story out there, to retract all the negativity that was being put out there about me and my motives, and to get the approval of, from the community for my efforts and my hard work. But, I definitely wanted to be heard and understood, but ultimately I was chasing approval.
Thanks for sharing that story, Lourdes. That must have been really tough. But, it's a great example that it's easy to get caught up in that kind of chaos. But, our Stoic approach, the Stoic principles, they force us to really to pause. And instead of getting caught up in that emotional whirlwind, which is easy to do, we're human. But, the Stoics look at it as sympathia, and it's that, again, It's a sense of a shared humanity. And instead you start asking, instead of, looking inward, you start asking, where's their judgment coming from? Is it possible that they're stressed about the crises, or they're fearful of the results? The thing is that they're reacting due to their fears and their own insecurities, and it's not about you personally, even though it definitely feels like it's about you personally, because, and maybe sometimes it is personal because they're attacking you, your person.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely really challenging to do in the moment when you're feeling, attacked. But ultimately, if you can investigate, look
Mhm.
into where they're coming from, their inner workings, their fear of, the uncertainty, the loss of control, and the lack of information, then that will lead to a better understanding and better communication.
Yeah, and once you're able to do that, once you're able to go from being reactive, you can become responsive. And that's the moment that you break free. And you stop needing their endorsements, and you become your own authority. You know that you did an honest job, and that you operated with integrity. And your peace, it's no longer dependent on their, retracting a lie or even believing in you. You've stopped handing over your power. You've empowered yourself in this way.
Mm. Yeah, and this isn't about ignoring feedback. It's about discerning its source and its actual impact. So, if we view our self-worth like a personal compass, you know, our compass needs to always point to our own true north, our own values, integrity, and efforts. But if we're constantly chasing approval, it's like letting a strong magnet randomly pull your compass, the needle off course, and so you're lost, always reacting, and not in that space of centeredness from which
Mhm.
you can respond.
It's spot on, as they say. So when someone criticizes you, or you feel that desperate, itch for praise, just pause. Don't let your compass be hijacked. Ask yourself, is this external magnet reflecting my true north? Or is it just another random pull? Is this praise truly meaningful, or is it just fleeting? Is it a fleeting applause and approval? And is this criticism valid feedback, or someone else's drama?
Mm. Yeah, focus on what you know to be right, what aligns with your own compass, and that's how you maintain your inner direction and avoid drifting aimlessly in the sea of public opinion.
Yeah, your freedom is internal. So lock it down and live unshaken.
So that's your thought for the week. Don't let it just stay a quote. Let it challenge you. Let it shape you. Try it out in real life and see how it changes the way you think and the way you show up. We'll be back next week with another reading from our soon to be released book, The Daily Path to Resilience: Small Steps to an Unshakable You.